Okay,
Okay,
we are
we're ready.
live, everyone. Welcome, 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 all my friends in YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and everywhere else. We have a very special guest today. Maybe we'll
What?
just wait a minute for people to get caught up and see that we're online. Um, we'll just give it a minute. But this is actually going to be broadcast on Persian radio, right? Tell us
Indeed.
a little more.
So I'm delighted to be here. My name is Sharzad Ardalan. I have the pleasure of conducting the interview on a subject very close to our hearts and use your expertise and experience um, to educate people, and especially the ones who are struggling with their immigration status. And I really, really look forward to our talk. I'm
Yeah.
delighted that the interview will be broadcast in Radio Iran, 670 AM, KIRN. So if I may say a couple of words in Persian,
Please.
دوستان عزیزان شنونده خوش آمدید به صحبت امروز ما با آقای جاشوا گولدستین که وکیل امور مهاجرت هستند و در مورد مسائل و مشکلاتی که برای بسیاری از دوستان در امور مهاجرت پیش میاد اطلاعاتی رو باتون عنوان میکنن که بتونه کمک بکنه بهتون. So if you are struggling to get your visa, green card, or even citizenship, the good news is that we can be of some help, and we're lucky enough to um, provide this talk with Joshua Goldstein, who is an expert, a lawyer in immigration, and he's going to join us, help us answer some questions, inspire you, and help you get unstuck so you can reach your immigration goals. He is an experienced lawyer, immigration lawyer, and a strong connection with a strong connection to the Persian community. He's based in Los Angeles, but can handle cases all over the country and around the world. Wherever you are and you wish to apply for your visa, green card, or citizenship, he's the man to see and to contact. Um, as you see, you have the phone number, you have the website, and that's going to make life a lot easier. We know that sadly, when Persian people apply for visas, sometimes things get stuck. Um, Mysterious delays are so frustrating, and perhaps you, Josh, can help us do something about it and know more about the situation and help us resolve delayed visa cases. So, we're going to talk about the delay, the reason that they are delayed, if things are this way in particular with the Persians, or is it the case with all different nationalities for the time being? So we're going to get a lot of information today, and whenever you're ready, I'm ready to start our talk.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for the warm introduction. It's so nice to make a connection with you. And before we get into the immigration issues, I just want to thank you for taking the time to connect with me. I am so proud to have made friends and to make a connection with the Persian community. I have been helping people. There is a Telegram group that I've been invited to, and I've had so many people who've reached out to me and asked me questions, and I have done everything I can to be of assistance to the community, and it makes me really proud to do that.
Pleasure.
Um,
Thank you for
yeah,
understanding, actually.
I think what's really going on here is politics. Um, you might be aware, but the government of the United States and the government of Iran, not such good friends.
To put it mildly.
Yeah, yeah. And there's politics. But if you leave the politics aside, what you're left with are ordinary people, husbands, wives, parents, and children. and they're impacted by these immigration delays. And it's having a profoundly negative impact on people's lives and their families. And a lot of people are hurt by this. What's happening is that people are applying for visas and other immigration benefits, and they're being delayed because of their national origin and because they're from Iran. And that's not right. It's not fair. It's not the way that things are supposed to work under the law. The concept of justice is that everyone is equal under the law. That's the fundamental basis of our legal system. And so when you take people who apply for their close family members and you put them on hold indefinitely for no reason, just because they happen to be from Iran, it's upsetting. And those are the cases that I especially am interested in helping people with, because I'm really passionate about reuniting families and bringing people together and helping them overcome these obstacles that are so endemic in the Persian community.
This sounds like music to my ears, and thank you very much for not only understanding the situation, but truly feeling the difficulties that a lot of people are facing today. So tell us about mostly what immigration issues you work with the Persian community.
Yeah, Shahrzad, people call me from Iran and Turkey and all over the world, and they cry, and they're so sad, and they're saying, look, I don't know what's going on. Why is my case delayed? What's happening? I've been waiting for years. I've talked to all these other lawyers, and they told me I just have to keep waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. I don't understand what's going on. And meanwhile, time is going by. Weeks are passing. Months are passing. And people are just stuck with these mysterious delays. And these are the cases that we particularly are interested in helping people with. And I want to tell you a little more about the work that we do. What we do is that we go to court and we sue the consulate in Yerevan. We sue them in court. Now, I know that it sounds kind of crazy. And if you talk to someone who's from Iran, I mean, it sounds crazy to sue the government. That's not going to solve a problem. If you took someone back in Tehran and you said, listen, I have a problem with the government, I have a problem with the Ayatollah, I'm going to sue the Ayatollah. Well, that would be crazy. They would lock you up. That wouldn't work. But it does work. And it works. It works really well. And what we do is we go to court and we say, listen, this delay is unreasonable. It's not reasonable to make someone wait for months and months and months and sometimes years just to get paperwork processed. So we fight and we challenge the delay. And after we do that, the cases start to move. And suddenly the mysterious delay is no more. It gets cleared up and people are able to overcome the obstacles. And I tell you that there is nothing that I enjoy more than calling people and telling them that got approved. It's just, it never gets old because I know how important this is for people.
First of all, let me try to translate it.
Please.
Briefly, آقای جاشوا گولدستین همونطور که توضیح دادن با دریافت تلفن‌های شما از هر جایی که هستین، از ایران، ترکیه یا جای دیگه که زندگی میکنید، متوجه شدن که خانواده ها منتظر تکلیف پرونده های مهاجرتشون هستن که بهشون رسیدگی نمیشه و همینطور به تأخیر و تعقیب میفته. و بعد کاری که ایشون میکنن و نحوه برخوردشون با این مشکل اینه که به دادگاه میکشن مسئولین رو برای نرسیدن به اقدامی که شما کردید برای امور مهاجرتتون. و فکر نمی کنیم که عملی باشه، ولی همطور که اشاره کردن میشه و کار رو به موفقیت میکشونه. Josh, what kind of immigration issues are we talking about? Is it regarding the visa, tourist visa? Is it green card? what are we talking about that you can take them to a higher court and file a lawsuit?
Well, what I'm particularly, my firm, we handle all sorts of immigration cases, but what I'm particularly interested in helping with, and I have a specialization is helping people whose immigration cases are delayed, unreasonably delayed. You take an average person who happens to be from Iran, they apply for citizenship or a green card or a visa, and it just seems to get stuck in the system. And it's not a coincidence that this is happening to Persian people. This is happening because of their national origin, and that's not right. It's not fair. And we're able to resolve those delays, and that's the benefit that we can provide to the community.
And when do we start calling it a delay, and what time range is a regular wait?
Well, that's a great question. How long is too long? When you're separated from your family, any delay seems too long. And but before we can actually go to court and file a lawsuit, we have to take a look at a lot of factors and figure out what's going on in people's lives and when did they apply and whether there was an interview and where the case is at. There's a whole analysis that goes into it. But if people think that their cases have taken too long and they're interested in seeing whether we could help, I would encourage them to reach out to us. Give us a call at 213-262-2000. We make videos on our YouTube channel all the time. We plan to appear regularly on Persian radio at KIRN, and we're excited about that. But there's lots of ways to reach out to us. And even if you're not sure whether you want to hire a lawyer, it might be worth talking to us to see if there's a way to help. A lot of people are completely unaware that this is even an option.
And is that first consultation free?
It is free.
It is. پس دوستان خدمتتون عرض بکنم که تخصص دفاتر حقوقی آقای جاش گولدستین در مورد پرونده های امور مهاجرت هست که به تأخیر افتادن و بهشون رسیدگی نشده. این تأخیر بستگی به شرایط شما داره، حالا چه برای ویزا چه برای گرین کارت اقدام کردید و هر دلیلی اگه کارتون عقب افتاده و فکر میکنید پرونده رو به خاطر ایرانی بودن شما دارن به تأخیر میندازن، به طور رایگان میتونید با تلفن 213 262 2000 213 262 2000 تماس بگیرید، شرایطتون رو بفرمایید چقدر وقت منتظر هستید که اگر دور از شرایط قانونی دارن با پرونده شما رفتار میکنن، با ترس از این ادعای حقوقی و دوری از اون به پرونده شما رسیدگی بشه. So the magic word is lawsuit. And even though we try to be extremely nice to the immigration people, if they are not taking us seriously or treating us like the rest of the world, because I understand that there is some sort of a delay because of the pandemic situation worldwide. But if they're treating the Persians differently, then we've got some rights, even though if we're not Americans yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's just common sense. Think about it. You file for an immigration benefit, you fill out the form, you pay the fee, you file it, you provide your fingerprints and copies of all your documents. You've engaged in a process. You've done everything that they've asked of you. They owe you a decision within some reasonable period of time. They can't just make you wait forever. If people are listening to this and that they have questions, and they want to reach out to me, another way, you can send me an email. My email is josh@jgoldlaw.com. josh@jgoldlaw.com. And in the subject, I want you to put no more waiting. Okay?
پس میتونید سوالهای خودتون رو علاوه بر تماس رایگان برای مشاوره تلفنی، میتونید از طریق ایمیل برای آقای جاش بفرستید که روی صفحه میبینید josh@jgoldlaw.com. این همینی که روی صفحه میبینید، از طریق ایمیل باشون تماس بگیرید، شرایطتون رو توضیح میدید. روی سابجکت ایمیل هم بنویسید دیگه از صبر کردن خسته شدم و دیگه نمیخوام صبر بکنم و دقیقاً به انتظار شما برای رسیده شدن به پرونده مهاجرتتون رسیدگی خواهند کرد و اگر لازم باشه مسئولین امور مهاجرت که پرونده شما رو به تأخیر انداختن به دادگاه خواهند کشون. در از موضع قدرت دارن برخورد میکنن. From the position of power you get them to listen to you. Is that how it is?
I like the expression, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Exactly.
Yeah, you want to get their attention. That's the way it is.
از موضع قدرت وقتی باشون تماس بگیرن اون وقت تازه اونا گوششون جمع میشه و جذب میشه به سر و صدایی که به وجود میارن.
There is one issue that is very technical, but it is a question that I often get from people, Iranian people, and I want to raise this issue and answer it because people ask me all the time. So, as you know, in Iran, they have compulsory military service for males. You have to serve in the army, armed forces. If you serve in a branch of the army called Sepa, I'm saying that right.
Perfect.
You cannot get a visa to the United States.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I don't make these rules or laws, and if I were allowed to make the rules, I would not have this rule. It seems very cruel and unfair because military service in Iran is not voluntary. You don't volunteer. They tell you where to go. And a lot of times people have applied for their father or their brother or their husband, and we just can't get the visa approved. So that is unfortunate, but we do everything we can when we take on a client to carefully review the case to make sure that it has a great chance for success. And if somebody has served in that particular branch of the military, then I think that they just need to find a different country to live in. It's very, very unfortunate.
Gotcha. همونطور که اشاره کردن آقای گلدستین، قوانینی هست در مورد مهاجرت و گرفتن ویزا به آمریکا که یکی از اونها برای افرادی که دوره سربازی رو در سپاه گذروندن اجازه ورود به آمریکا رو ندارن و قانون آمریکاست و کاری هم ایشون نمیتونن بکنن. در نتیجه یه چیز کلیه که افرادی که دوره نظامشون رو یا نظام وظیفه رو در سپاه گذروندن مستثنا هستن و نمیتونن برای ویزا اقدام بکنن. Actually, I was going to ask you any examples of some of the situation that you've been dealing with recently, and information such as the one you just mentioned would be useful to the audience as a whole, if you wish to share.
Yeah, as I said earlier, there is a Telegram group with a whole bunch of people who are Persian, who've applied for visas in Yerevan, and they're all stuck and they're wondering what to do. And I have been very, very fortunate to help people in this group. And every time we help someone get approved and we're able to resolve this mysterious delay, people are so grateful because they get to be with their families again. And they overcome these massive obstacles. And what happens is then they send their friends to me. And so we've been able to help quite a few people, and it makes me really, really proud to fight these delays and to get people reunited with their families. Most of the cases we're working on are visas that are based on marriage or fiancé relationships. But we also have other kinds of delays. There was a guy in San Diego, Iranian guy. He was an asylee. He got asylum, and then he applied for a green card, and it was just taking forever. Years and years went by. We filed a lawsuit, and then he gets approved. And this is the sort of work that we do that we're passionate about.
همونطور که اشاره کردن شرایط مختلف و مثالهای گوناگونی هست از پرونده هایی که باشون کار میکنن و هر پرونده امور مهاجرت که به تأخیر افتاده و حس میکنید که بهش رسیدگی نمیشه به خاطر ایرانی بودن شما میتونید چه از طریق تلفن برای مشاوره رایگان، چه از طریق ایمیل با ایشون در تماس باشید و وقتی که اقدام قانونی میکنن بر علیه اونها، اون وقت دیگه حرف شما رو و پرونده شما بهش دقیق‌تر رسیدگی میشه و سریعتر و حرف شما شنیده میشه. همونطور که اشاره کردن در مورد استفاده از دنیای مجازی، روی تلگرام هم گروهی هستن که از یروان ارمنستان منتظر ویزا بودن، بهشون رسیدگی نمیشد و ایشون کمک‌های لازم رو از طرف دفتر حقوقیشون در اختیارشون قرار دادن. آقایی که در سندیگو زندگی میکردن و از طریق پناهندگی اقدام کرده بودن که اقامت بگیرن و سالها بود منتظر رسیدگی به پروندهشون بودن. بعد از اینکه اقدام قانونی دفاتر آقای جاش گولدستین ثبت شد، یهو فوری به زور حساب میبره و مسئولین رو مجبور میکنه که توجه بیشتری به پرونده ها بکنن. اگر شما هم منتظر شنیدن جواب مشخص از پرونده های امور مهاجرتتون هستید، چه از طریق تلفن، چه از طریق وبسایت، چه از طریق ایمیل، میتونید با ایشون تماس بگیرید، شرایطتون رو بفرمایید، بگید چقدر وقت منتظرید تا به شما جواب بدن که واجد شرایط هستید یا نه. So it really depends on the situation. If they are their file has been delayed, depending on their situation, they can always ask you and know more, and if necessary apply for a lawsuit. Correct?
It is correct. It does depend on the situation, and you really have to examine the facts very, very carefully. It's not something where you can say, okay, if it's been this long, you can file a lawsuit, and if it hasn't, I really need to know more about someone's unique personal situation before we can go forward. But it's important to figure that out.
Any do's and don'ts that would help them hear the situation?
I think one thing that's important is you need to know, pardon me 1 second.
Sure.
You need to know that oftentimes waiting just leads to more waiting. And when you are at the consulate, they send you a message and it says, please be advised that your visa will be approved within 180 days, will be processed within 180 days. Or the message says something that indicates that their paperwork is going to be sorted out within 180 days. So what people do is they contact me and they say, well, I can't do anything now because I have to wait 180 days. And I'll say, well, why do you think that you have to wait 180 days? And they'll say, well, the consulate contacted me and they said to wait 180 days. Well, that's not the case. These are just automated emails. They have nothing to do with someone's particular situation. They just send that out to everyone. So if you wait 180 days, all you're doing is wasting 180 days.
Oh, that's good to know. اگر بهتون خبر میدن که باید 180 روز یا 6 ماه منتظر بمونیم برای اینکه جوابتون رو بهتون بدن، حتی اونم دقیق نیست، برای اینکه اونم یه ایمیل دست جمعیه که برای همه میفرستن و به پرونده شما رسیدگی نشده که بگن که خب موقعیت شما 180 روز صبر رو میطلبه. در نتیجه اگر که مطمئن نیستید از موقعیت امور مهاجرتتون، اونم دلیل دیگری میشه که به هر حال ضرری برای شما نداره، هزینه‌ای نداره. تماس بگیرید، بپرسید شرایطتون رو، چه از طریق تلفن 213 262 2000، چه از طریق ایمیل که روی صفحه میاد و وبسایت josh.law اطلاعات بیشتر رو دریافت میکنید. شرایطتون رو آگاهانه دیگه، هی صبر موجب صبر بیشتر نمیشه. حداقل خواهید دونست که در چه موقعیت و شرایطی به سر میبرید. چه ویزای نامزدی، fiancé visa would fall into the same category, would it?
That's correct, yeah.
So any kind of visa, tourist, fiancé.
We actually don't work with tourist visas.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, I recognize that being able to visit the United States is incredibly important to a lot of people, but our office specifically just doesn't handle those kinds of cases.
You're looking for complicated, a bit complicated or complex cases because you know you're in the position of power and you can get them to work on them
Well,
ASAP.
it's not that we just want to dive into complexity. It's that we're looking for a family connection, some sort of person who's been offered sometimes a student visa or a ability to study in the United States or do research. Those are compelling needs, or employment-based immigration options. All of those types of cases are ones where we can look at the delay and ask whether it was reasonable. And if it's not reasonable, we can challenge that.
عالی. چقدر خوبه که با همه وجودشون احساس دوری خانواده ها و پراکنده بودنشون رو متوجه میشن، در نتیجه سعی و کوشش و مایه بیشتری میگذارن که پرونده ها رو به نتیجه مطلوب برسونن. اشاره کردن برای ویزای توریستی کمک نمی کنن و دفاتر حقوقیشون به ویزای توریستی نمیرسه، ولی ویزاهای تحصیلی، ویزاهای تحقیقی، ویزای کار، ویزای نامزدی، ویزای اقامت و دریافت کارت ثبت یا گرین کارت و بعد هم اقدام برای گرفتن تابعیت به هر دلیلی اگه پرونده شما درش تأخیری به وجود آمده تماس بگیرید، در مشاوره اولیه رایگان شرایطتون رو توضیح بدید و ببینید که چه توصیه و چه راهنمایی‌هایی میتونه براتون مفید و مؤثر باشه.
There's one more thing I want to add that's important.
By all means.
I particularly am interested in working with people who have been disappointed by other immigration lawyers. Because oftentimes people come to us and they say, well, I have a lawyer, but the lawyer is not helping me. The lawyer is not effective. The lawyer just told me to keep waiting. The lawyer told me this, that, the other thing. The lawyer charged me this much money and didn't do anything. So oftentimes people work with us after they've been disappointed by other professionals. So don't be put off by that either. We're perfectly capable of helping you, or at least exploring whether helping you is possible, even if you have already worked with someone else. Just today, for example, just today, I was hired by a Persian woman in another part of the country, and a very well-regarded immigration lawyer had turned down her case. But in my professional judgment, I think her case has merit, and I was able to take on her case, and fingers crossed, we'll be able to get a good resolve for her.
Perfect. پس حتی اگر از وکیل در حال حاضرتون در مورد امور مهاجرت جواب مشخصی دریافت می‌کنید و فکر می‌کنید که به سر می‌گردوننتون و جواب درست بهتون نمیدن، باز هم میتونید از کمک‌های آقای جاش گولدستین استفاده کنید، براشون شرایط رو توضیح بدید، بگید وکیل چی گفته، برای اینکه به موردی اشاره کردن که وکیل گفته که اصلا نمیشه و امکان نداره کاری بکنن و ایشون تونستن کیس رو گرفتن و اقامت رو گرفتن. برای همین چاره فقط یک تلفن با مشاوره رایگان 213 262 2000 صحبت با آقای جاش گولدستین. اگر پرونده مهاجرتتون تأخیر پیدا کرده و یا از وکیل مهاجرتتون جواب مشخصی رو دریافت نکردید. We've come to the conclusion of the program.
Fantastic.
Thank you so very much
for everyone on YouTube and online. I'm going to stay around and continue to answer people's questions. But I want to thank Shahrzad for your time and your gracious hospitality, and for joining me. I look forward to more conversations with you. And I want to
thank you very much for everything that you do for the Persian community. Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day, and take care.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, for everyone else out on the internet, I will be here, and I will be answering your questions. So if you're out there, I want to thank you for tuning in today, and I'm just going to go through your questions and see how I can help you out. And I want to thank you for listening. She was a lovely lady. She is a lovely lady. Very, very charming. Our friend from Iraq, Ayman Hussein, thank you for joining in. I'm going to go to your question. The SEAC case status shows that my case is refused under 221G for administrative processing only. Okay, let me explain exactly what this means. Refused under 221G for administrative processing. All that means is two things, my friend. One, you had a visa interview at a consulate or embassy outside the United States. You went for the interview. And number two, your case is still pending. Sometimes they use the word refuse and you think, oh no, my case was denied, but it wasn't denied necessarily. It's still pending. So again, to summarize, refused under section 221G for administrative processing means two things. You had a visa interview and your case is still pending. There's still hope. We can get your case approved, hopefully, and you should reach out to me. Send me an email. Again, I'm going to put my email address on here. I'm going to put my email address on here. There it is. And I want you to email me and say no more waiting. That's the message. And I want you to tell me what's going on with your case and how I can help you out. Danny, my friend, so good to hear from you. I'm going to reach out to you later today and update you on what's going on. And I hope you're well. I love that picture of you with your loved one. And I'm looking forward to seeing the two of you together in Seatown. What other questions do we have here? Another one from Iman. It says he's an SIV case, more than 8 years old. Boy, I hope you contact me. I'd love to help you. I really would love to help you. I'm going to put my email address up. But SIV cases are for people who worked as translators or who assisted the U.S. military. People like that often risk their lives to help American armed forces. So special thanks to Mr. Hussein, who joined us today. All right, Armando, thank you for joining in. Good afternoon. Venezuelan people. Of course we help Venezuelan people. We help people from every country in the world. So if your passport's been at the U.S. Consulate since September of 2020, you have an unreasonable delay, and we need to go after them. We need to challenge it. Can you tell me, if you are under 221G, how long can they keep your passport? They can keep your passport as long as they wish. And that's why we fight back. That's why we sue. That's why we go after them. Mike, your wife is in the Philippines and your case is stuck. My wife is Filipina, by the way. So my heart goes out to you. It is ridiculous. The consulate in Manila is one of the worst consulates in the world. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I will catch up with your emails later. Thank you.